Hi there, welcome to another video. Hope you're well. We're going to look at here converting percentages to fractions. So let's imagine we have a question like this one. What is 60% but written as a fraction? So step one, write it as over 100 because we're saying it's 60 out of 100. That's what 60% means. So we have 60 over 100 as a fraction. But we can simplify that, divide the top and bottom by the same number. In this case, we can do it by 20. So we can do 60 divided by 20, which is 3. 100 divided by 20 is 5. So we can simplify it down to 3/5. So that's our answer. 3/5 is 60% as a fraction. As a quick check, 3 divided by 5 is going to give us 0.6. So that's the same thing as 60%. Next one, you can have a go at this yourself. What is 75% as a fraction? So pause the video there, have a go, we'll go through the answer. So step one, write it as over 100. So we have 75 over 100. And then we think, can we try and find a way to simplify that down? Can we find a number that divides into 75 and into 100 exactly without any remainders? And so we can divide by 25. So 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So, yeah, 75 out of 100 is the same thing as 3 over 4 or 3/4. So that's our answer. Quick check. 3 divided by 4 as a decimal is 0.75, which is 75%. Next one, 28% as a fraction. So that's 28 over 100. We can simplify by dividing by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 100 divided by 4 is 25. Put that together, 7 over 25 is a simplified version. That's our answer. And you can check 7 over 25 gives us 0.28. which is 28%. Next one, 32% as a fraction. So write it as over 100, 32 over 100. Simplify down by dividing by 4, and we can get 8 over 25. That's our answer. You can do a quick check on a calculator, obviously can't do that in the exam, but 8 divided by 25 is 0.32, 32%, so that's correct. What is 14% as a fraction? So 14 over 100, divide by 2 to turn it into 7 over 50. Now we can't get any further because 7 is a prime number. So we have 7 over 50 as the answer, 14%. Okay, so hopefully you're comfortable with that now. We'll continue on looking at percentages, but with a different type of question. So instead, we're looking at here, we know what the percentage is, and we know the number. So what is 15% of 600? So step one, write things as over 100. So 15%, as we saw in the previous topic, is 15 over 100. And then we multiply that. When we're saying what's 15% of 600, the of is basically saying to multiply those together. We're trying to share out the 600 into percentage terms. So we can write it out now as 15 over 100 times 600. Then we can compute the result. So the easiest way to do this, we're saying 15 over 100 times 600. We can say it's 600, handle basically the 100 on the bottom of the fraction first, which is a division by 100. So we can do 600 divided by 100 to make it into a small figure is 6. Then we deal with the top of the fraction, which is multiplying by 15 to give us 90. Because what we're saying, when we've got that fraction in step 2, we can either do this as 15 times 600, which will give us a very big number and be quite hard to do, and then divide by 100. Or we can divide by the 100 first, which gives us a small number, easy to work with, and then multiply by 15. Because the fraction there is saying make something 15 times bigger, then make it 100 times smaller, and we can do that in either order. It works. Okay, so suggests it's always better to divide by the 100. Gives us the 6, then we do the multiplying by 15, and that gives us 90. So that's our answer, 90. We can do a quick check. You might find this easier anyway than the method we've suggested. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you get it right in the exam and you're quick. But another way of doing it would be, say, 10% of 600 would be 1/10 of it. Take off a 0, in other words. So that's 60. 5% therefore has to be half of that number, is 30. And then we put those together. 60 plus 30 is 90, which is the same answer that we had before. So that's another way of approaching the same question. Remember, the 5% has to be 30, because we just said that 10% of 600, taking off the 0, is 60. So 5% has to be half of that, 30. Next one, what is 25% of 680? So write the 25% as being over 100, and then we multiply that by the 680. So the first step we suggest here is simplify actually the 25 over 100. Dividing the top and bottom by 25 gives us 1/4 or 1 over 4. Okay, and then 1 over 4 times 680, we can do it in either direction. We can do 1 times 680, which doesn't actually do anything, or we can divide by 4 and then multiply by 1 later. It's up to us. So dividing that into 4 equal parts, have a think. 680, what's half of 680? It's 340, and then half of that again is 170. So that's our answer, because, yeah, quick check, 1/4 of 680 is 170, since 170 times 4 gives us the 680. Next one, what is 8% of 500? So we write it as 8 over 100, and then we can multiply that. So remember, what we can do is divide by the 100 and then multiply by the 8. I think that's what we're going to do here. 500 divided by 100 is 5, nice and easy to work with. And then 5 times 8 is 40. So as I said before, we could have done the 8 first. 8 times 500 is 4,000, but that gives us a nasty big number to be working with. And then we could divide the 4,000 by 100, take 2 zeros off, gives us 40. So we can do it that way, but it's generally best to divide and make things smaller if we can. So quick check, or the other method, so 10% of 500 is 50, so 8% should be a little bit less than that. So 40 fits, perhaps not an exact way of checking it there. We could perhaps, do a bit better than that. So that gives us the answer 40. Quick check. 10% of 500 is 50. So 8% should be a little bit less than that. 40 fits, because we've got the 5 and the 8. 5 and 8, so 40 fits there, doesn't it? So yeah, we can do it just as a quick check in the exam. Next one, what is 12% of 400? So write it as 12 over 100. And then we're multiplying that into the 400. Let's divide the 400 by the 100 to get down to a nice easy number of 4, and then multiply by the top of the fraction. The 12 gives us 48. So that's our answer, 48. Quick check, 10% of 400, we just take a 0 off, because it's a tenth, is 40. 2% therefore has to be 5 times smaller than that, because 2 is 5 times smaller than 10. So 40 divided by 5 is 8. Put those together gives us 48, which is the same as what we just calculated. Last one then, what is 30% of 90? So pause the video there, have a go, then we'll carefully go through the answer. So step 1, write it as over 100, so 30 over 100, multiply that into the 90. So first thing, we can simplify the 30 over 100 to 3/10. That's going to work better, because if we divide the 90 by 100, we get a decimal, we get less than 1, not so easy to work with. If we turn it into 3 over 10, then we can divide the 90 by 10 and get 9, which is easier to work with, and then multiply by the top of the fraction, which is 3. So we get 9 times 3 overall from that, and that gives us 27. So that's our answer. Quick check, 10% of 90 is 1/10, take off the 0, so that's 9. And triple it, because we're looking for 30%, not 10%. 3 times 9 is 27.